look the other way and say, well, that was just then. It just was not something he really.
Sally Field's story has always carried a blend of warmth, resilience, and unfiltered honesty. From the sunny innocence of Gidget to the emotional gravitas of Norma Rae, she has never been just another Hollywood star. She has been a storyteller shaped by both triumph and pain. Across decades, audiences embraced her as a symbol of sincerity, and behind every role was a woman navigating a complicated childhood, turbulent relationships, private heartbreaks, and a quiet determination to heal. Today, as conversations grow around her health and her retreat from the spotlight, her journey feels more intimate than ever. This summary revisits the defining chapters of her life with a reflective and human tone. A turbulent childhood. Behind the spotlight, Sally Field's childhood was a mixture of affection, instability, and silent suffering. Born in Pasadena in 1946, she grew up surrounded by creativity through her mother's acting career, yet her home life was far from secure. After her parents divorced, her mother remarried actor and stuntman Jock Mahoney, a figure who brought both notoriety and unimaginable pain into Sally's world. The abuse she later revealed in her memoir, In Pieces, shows a young girl trying to understand the blurred lines between love, fear, and control. While she seemed like any normal student, cheerleading, making friends, trying to fit in, she carried a secret that shaped her emotional landscape well into adulthood. The contrast between her sunny public image and the trauma she endured in private influenced how she approached her roles. The vulnerability she displayed on screen wasn't performance, it was lived experience. Rising fame and the fight for serious roles, Sally's rise in Hollywood began with charm and light-hearted roles that made audiences instantly adore her. With series like Gidget and The Flying Nun, she became a familiar face across America, but the industry's tendency to box her into bubbly, simplistic characters soon became suffocating. She longed to be taken seriously and knew she had more to offer than cute comedy. Her determination led her to the transformative role of Sybil, where she portrayed a woman grappling with profound trauma. The performance stunned critics and proved her dramatic power. Awards and acclaim followed, including Oscars for Norma Rae and Places in the Heart. Yet behind the accolades was a young actress fighting a system that often underestimated women, especially those who began in light entertainment. Navigating Hollywood's hidden wounds. Though Sally's career sparkled publicly, the reality behind the scenes was often darker and emotionally taxing. Hollywood in the 1960s and 70s was a place where power imbalances were rarely questioned, and young actresses were vulnerable to uncomfortable and confusing situations. In her memoir, she bravely disclosed moments where lines were crossed, whether during auditions or relationships, leaving her to navigate complex feelings about consent, responsibility, and self-expression long before the world openly discussed these topics. Her decision to share these memories later in life was not about blaming or shocking. It was about reclaiming her story and releasing the shame she carried silently for decades. By speaking out, she gave voice to countless women who experienced similar treatment, but never felt safe to acknowledge it. Her honesty reframed her emotional depth as an actor, revealing that her strength on screen was forged through very real pain and introspection. Love, loss, and relationships that shaped her. Sally's personal life was filled with the same emotional highs and lows that defined many of her characters. She experienced young love, complicated romances, and highly publicized relationships that often looked idyllic from the outside, but were far more complex behind closed doors. Her long, tumultuous relationship with Burt Reynolds became one of Hollywood's most talked about pairings. Yet Sally later admitted that the emotional imbalance and pressure made the relationship unhealthy for her. Her marriages to Stephen Craig, with whom she shared 2 sons, and to film producer Alan Greisman brought stability, family, and joy, but also challenges that ultimately led to separation. Through heartbreak, affection, and self-discovery, she began to understand her repeated patterns and the ways her early trauma shaped her search for love. Over time, she found peace in choosing herself, embracing a life where companionship wasn't necessary for fulfillment. Motherhood, friendship, and moments of grace. For all her professional success, it was motherhood that offered Sally her deepest sense of grounding and purpose. Raising her 3 sons gave her stability in times when the pressures of fame felt overwhelming, and allowed her to focus on emotional truths rather than Hollywood expectations. Their presence helped her navigate anxiety, self-doubt, and the lingering effects of her childhood. Alongside family, her friendships, particularly with Robin Williams, became sources of comfort and compassion. While filming Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin immediately sensed her distress after the death of her father, quietly stepping in to make sure she could leave set and take care of herself. It was a small but profound gesture that captured the tenderness behind his comedic brilliance. Moments like these reminded Sally that kindness could coexist with her painful memories and that support didn't have to come with conditions. Surviving tragedy and facing her own mortality. In 1988, Sally experienced a life-altering event that forced her to confront mortality in the most sudden and shocking way. A private jet carrying her, her husband Alan Greisman, and their infant son Sam crashed during takeoff, skidding into another plane and drenching everyone in jet fuel. Miraculously, the aircraft didn't explode. In those terrifying moments, Sally's instinct as a mother eclipsed all else. She held her baby so tightly that she feared she might harm him. Surviving such a traumatic incident left her shaken for years, reshaping the way she viewed safety, family, and the fragility of life. It became a defining emotional marker, pushing her to appreciate small moments more deeply and rethink what truly mattered to her. The crash didn't just change her perspective, it strengthened her commitment to authenticity, roundedness, and love. It also illuminated her remarkable resilience, revealing a quiet courage that extended far beyond the characters she portrayed on screen. A quiet battle with health and aging. Sally's diagnosis of osteoporosis in 2005 introduced another private battle, one she chose to confront openly. The disease, often undetected until a fracture occurs, had been progressing silently for years. Rather than hide it, she became a vocal advocate, encouraging women to request bone density tests and prioritize their health before symptoms appeared. Her willingness to share her experience allowed others to recognize the seriousness of the condition. As she aged, Sally also embraced a natural appearance, choosing not to pursue cosmetic procedures despite the pressures of Hollywood's youth-focused culture. This choice exposed her to harsh online criticism, yet she remained firm in her belief that aging is not something to mask or apologize for. With fewer roles available for older actresses, she gracefully shifted toward a quieter life, focusing on health, reflection, and personal peace. Pulling back from the spotlight. In recent years, Sally Field has chosen to step back from the constant visibility that defined much of her life. While she still appears occasionally for advocacy work, political engagement, or meaningful creative projects, she no longer feels compelled to maintain a public presence. Her quiet walks with her dog, simple social media posts, and understated lifestyle reflect a woman who has learned to value stillness after decades of intensity. Fans sometimes worry when they see her looking thinner or frailer, but Sally seems to have found comfort in redefining success on her own terms. She has lived through trauma, fame, love, heartbreak, and health struggles, and now prioritizes peace over performance. This phase of her life isn't about retreat, it's about choosing intentional, grounded living. A legacy of strength, vulnerability, and truth. Sally Field's life story resonates because it reflects the universal human experience: pain, resilience, growth, and a longing for self-understanding. Her journey, from a wounded child to a celebrated actress to a reflective elder, shows how deeply intertwined her personal and professional selves have always been. She transformed her experiences, both joyful and heartbreaking, into performances that connected with audiences on emotional levels few actors reach. Even as she retreats from Hollywood's spotlight, her influence persists in the honesty she brought to her craft and the courage she showed in sharing her truths. Her legacy isn't defined solely by awards, but by the way she made people feel seen and understood. Sally reminds us that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through survival, healing, and the quiet decision to live authentically.